Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ACW Newscast. This is newscast number 54. I am Hakeem Johnson, your ACW commentator as always. And I know it's been a very long time since we've done a newscast, about 2 weeks, even though it's felt like a decade, I understand. But certain technical difficulties and other issues outside of ACW, aka my real life, kind of prevented me from doing newscasts for these past 2 weeks, but felt that I needed to do one this week to kind of make up for it and just go from there. We're going to talk about today, obviously, your questions and comments. We're going to also go over some ACW news. We're also going to talk about the recent updates on Gamergate and how that's affecting everything, and there's been a lot of things that have happened since we have done the last newscast. And yes, I will be doing my quote-unquote WWE rant today, because I have a lot to get out of my chest still. Been kind of holding it in for 2 weeks, but I kind of need to just get this out the way. But first, we're going to do your questions and comments. We're going to do that first, get those out of the way, so we can have time for the topics. Now, this is probably going to be an hour-long newscast. It is what it is. I'm kind of just done pretending it won't be at this point. I'm kind of thinking of actually doing a Google Plus Live edition of the newscast for Animania 3 week for the pre and post Animania editions. So let me know down on the comments down below if you would like to participate in a live newscast. Now, nothing like Skype or anything, but a live newscast where you'll have an open live chat and you can ask me any question that you want and I'll answer it live during the newscast broadcast. But anyways, let's get to your questions and comments. Raymond Dudley III asked me, what's the worst CAW league you ever watched? Wow. I don't know if I have a worse CAW league, because I think there's a lot of great CAW leagues out there that outweigh the bad, unless I just haven't been really paying attention and there's other opinions about certain things. But I will say, and I'm not here to just kind of discredit or disrespect the efforts it made, or the significance or the history that it truly made an impact on in CAW during the golden age of CAW. But compared to No DQ CAW, I was never really a big fan of Slam and Jam. I was never a big fan of Slam and Jam. I thought it was subpar compared to No DQ CAW. Who was it? I think it was the centerpiece of Slam and Jam was Babe Ruth. I didn't get it, didn't understand it. I just thought it was It wasn't really the best. I didn't think it was the best CAW as people claimed it to be. That's not to disrespect the impact and cultural significance in CAW that it has made, because it is obviously there. But I just never was a big fan of Slam and Jam compared to No DQ CAW. And I think another one was I think it was called EAW. I forgot what it stands for, but it was something like EAW, and it was during my early days in ACW, 2006, 2007, and I was trying to promote it during my Excel and Impulse shows back then. You know, try to give it enough attention, enough popularity, but but to be honest with you, the whole league, the commentary was like gargled noise. The matches didn't make sense. There was no energy behind the shows. The angles didn't make particularly any sense. A lot of inconsistencies. So as much as I tried to help out that CAW league, it just wasn't up to the par that it needed to be. So, and that's why it's no longer around. So I never have any problem. Let me state this for the record. I never have a problem with showing other colleagues commercials. I am more than happy to do that, because at the end of the day, CAW should be benefiting for everybody. But there are some colleagues that will sink or swim in terms of what its product is producing at that current time. All I can do at that point is just promote it. So there you go. Those are just a couple of colleagues I found subpar or bad, I guess. Let's see. Gary Connell Jr. asked me 3 questions here. Question number 1: what are your thoughts about the current state of teenagers of this generation? I'm part of the generation X or Y, or whatever the fuck it is. Whoa, profanity. Whoa. Anyways, I'm part of the Generation X, Generation Y. I was born in 1991, so I'm a 90s kid in every essence of that. And I feel like the 90s were really was the last great decade, the last great generation of the golden age, the golden modern age, I guess, of what you would define as a generational society. Because now you got the millennials right now, which you're inferring to is that they're entitled. It's all about them. They'd rather get microwave food rather than let the food simmer, cook, and develop. There's a lot of things wrong with this generation, and unfortunately, I am some ways a part of that as much as 90s kids are, but and we're all grouped together in that fold. But in terms of the real generational problem of teenagers today, it's pretty bad. I mean, I remember back then we would just go outside and play some basketball, some foursquare, some tetherball, or if we had to stay inside, we'd play some video games. If you'd get into an argument, you'd settle it in Smash, or you'd settle it in Madden 64, or NBA 2K Live, or something like that, FIFA or whatever. But now it's just it's a world of Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, WorldStar, iPhones and iPads and Galaxies, and it seems like today's current generation of teenagers are very reliant on technology, when even though technology is great and should be always evolving to help humans, it should not be the replacement for humans, if that makes any sense. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the current state of teenage this generation. Question number 2: who are your favorites out of the NXT 5? For me, it's Hideo Itami. I gotta get used to that name. It's still Kenna, but I'm just trying to get used to that name. If you guys don't know the NXT 5, which WWE posted an article about a few weeks back, they're Kevin Steen, Kenta, who is now Hideo Itami, Prince Devitt, who is now Finn Balor. What the hell? Adrian Neville, who was formerly Pac, and Sami Zayn, who you guys obviously know, who was formerly El Generico. Those are the 5. Out of those 5, who's my favorite? It's probably it's either Kevin Steen or Prince Devitt. I've always been a fan of Prince Devitt. He was probably my favorite foreigner back in New Japan. Always loved his stuff in terms of his wrestling and light heavyweight skills. In a way, Prince Devitt was what kept me watching New Japan in many certain ways. And then Kevin Steen was tearing up the independent scene. You want to talk about, 2011 was Punk's year, 2012 was Austin Aries' year, 2013 was, in a way, Daniel Bryan's year. Kevin Steen in the independent scene was having a great damn year as well during that time period. And he was really, in a way, keeping me watching Raw, or Ring of Honor, ROH, whatever. Yeah, I think Kevin Steen has a lot of upward potential as much as Prince Devitt does. Again, it depends on the booking and structure, which we'll get into with the WWE rant in a few moments. Sorry. Third and last question: what's your favorite fighting game? For me, it's the Tekken franchise. I have an image recreation to prove it, and he showed me the image right here. Dude, my favorite fighting game has to be Street Fighters. It has to be. I grew up on Street Fighters. Not to say that we didn't have, the SNK games of, King of Fighting and, Mortal Kombat and Tekken, all those other fighting games, Soul Calibur in a way. So it's not like those games aren't good or anything, but Street Fighters, at the end of the day, Street Fighter is the game that I grew up to in terms of a fighting game series. I was playing it back when I was a kid in the arcade rooms before the movie would come up. When we were going to the movies, you can go to the arcade and play for a little while, and Street Fighters was always there, always picking either Sagat or Blanca or Ryu. Yeah, Street Fighters is my favorite fighting game. It has to be for me. Joshua Howell asked me, will mainstream wrestling ever recover from the downward spiral it's on now? One thing I've always learned being involved in the business now is never say never in wrestling. But man, it's going to take a long while. we may not even be alive until we witness another great era in pro wrestling for the mainstream wrestling audience. Because what I see right now in terms of mainstream wrestling is pretty bad. You've got a company in the WWE that is stagnant, no energy, corporate, watered down, almost in a way past its prime. You've got TNA, who looks like they don't give a damn. They're just putting out matches and storylines until they get a new TV deal, which we still haven't heard anything from still. So they gotta even worry about making it past the end of 2014. You got ROH, which is inconsistent in terms of what it does. I know you got the AJ Styles, you got the Elgins, and you got Jay Briscoe, Adam Cole, all those guys. I understand that, but at the end of the day, I do like watching certain storylines on my wrestling, and sometimes ROH does not provide that. And honestly, ROH is just a developmentary system for TNA and WWE at this point. Period. So if we're looking at those three mainstream promotions, I guess right now, and Global Force Wrestling. Now there was an announcement that Global Force Wrestling will be hosting its first pay-per-view at in January of next year, which will be New Japan's pay-per-view, Tokyo Dome. Again, it's looking like Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling is trying to get back to the territorial days. Like, get a couple of core guys in your promotion, and then trade them in and out with talents from AAA, from Japan, from other promotions in Canada and the UK, and some parts of the independents. That's what it sounds like to me with Global Force Wrestling. It's starting to sound like an NWA conglomerate, which I don't know if it will work or won't work. We'll see in January next year. But yeah, other than that, just mainstream wrestling sucks right now. Let's just put it that way. But do I see it recovering? Maybe. I don't know if I will be around to see it, but maybe. Brian Douglas, a very avid ACW fan, as I always see him at times, he asked me, would you consider Adam Mulan to ACW? Is there a chance we'll be seeing Ash Ketchum versus Red at some point in ACW? This match needs to be done. In terms of the second question with Ash and Red, never say never. Again, you guys, in a way, you guys underestimate me sometimes. I'm always actively creative in terms of what I want to do new, but at the same time, always sticking to my core principles. So I'm always balancing the two. So again, never say never. Maybe possible. Maybe for like a one-night only special or something. As for Mulan, I don't think so. Just because Mulan is based on certain Asian cultures doesn't necessarily mean I would bring it up with ACW. Doesn't mean I would actually put it in ACW. That would kind of, in a way, make me racial. I mean, just putting Mulan in there just because she's Asian and it's Anime Championship Wrestling. So, less likely that Mulan will be in ACW. So, let's see. And out of the 5 names I thought up of if they managed to be in ACW, who do you think would be the biggest or the biggest hero? Sean Yu from Mulan, Peter Griffin from Family Guy, Hare from Monster Rancher, Adam McIntyre from Dead Rising, and Bills from DBZ Battle of Gods. I don't know how I would even create Bills in ACW. That would be very difficult. You guys saw it's already difficult enough when I tried creating Red Garurumon. That was difficult, trust me. Peter wouldn't be in it because he's not an anime or video game character. I know I'm also allowed a little bit of leeway with animation as well, but Peter Griffin isn't what you would think of in terms of ACW. Sean, you already addressed the Mulan thing just now, and Hare. If there's a reason for it, same with Adam McIntyre. If there's a reason for it, maybe, but don't hold your breath. It's funny too. I was watching Monster Rancher. I finally finished the whole Monster Rancher series, and I will say, I think I've allowed nostalgia kind of to blind me with that show. Like, the intro was pretty freaking horrible. As much as it's a nostalgia trip, it's a pretty freaking horrible intro with some of the most worst struggle bars I've ever heard in my life in terms of rapping. And the only characters in that show that got development were Holly and Tiger. Everybody else was only got a brief development. It was too quick, or they don't get any at all. And it just, especially season 3, it just started becoming bad guy of the week kind of territory. So yeah. Um, Joey Sharuba asked me a couple of questions I will get to. He states John Cena is the number one most followed active American athlete. He has more fans than any athlete in the NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, or NFL. Did you hear this shit? Cause I was pissed off when I heard this. And did it piss you off? It didn't really piss me off, to be honest with you. I mean, John Cena. I mean, after a decade of this company trying to put their eggs in the John Cena basket, they've got to get some return back. So, John Cena is a public figure. He's out there. I wouldn't call him a megastar like a Hogan or a Austin or The Rock were, but he's a superstar in terms of what the WWE needs today. So I wasn't surprised. It didn't really piss me off. I mean, it is what it is. Who do you think is most likely the John Cena in any colleague today? Well, a few years ago, I thought, in terms of SCAW, I thought Spider-Man was the John Cena of CAW. Always finding ways to win, always being protected, winning titles when he may necessarily have not needed it. I mean, I just finished watching Summer Brawl, the SCAW's latest mega event, and I was getting a little bit worried because I thought Spider-Man's really going to be the one to end Edward Elric's title reign, really. But Elric retained. I was happy with that because I'm enjoying Elric's title reign right now in SCAW. I think it's still a great title reign that needs to be explored more. And I think Lone Star kind of knows that as well. Who else did I thought was the John Cena of CAW? All love to Fred Francis and NGW and VWF. All the love towards them, but there's no way that I was the only one alone when I thought Sailor Mercury, Ami Mizuno at the time, was the John Cena of VWF or NGW. I mean, let's be honest. It was getting to the point where it's like, it got to the point where it's like, she'll never lose because apparently for some reason there's some type of way for her to always come out on top. So, yeah, those would be a couple of ones. And I'll even go to my colleague as well. I've always got reports that Haru Glory was the John Cena of ACW. Always got that. I don't mind that at all. Haru Glory tends to be the plucky baby face that always tends to go out on top or is protected. So I've gotten those complaints for Haru Glory being John Cena of ACW for a quite number of years. So I don't mind that either. Oh, whoa, I got more questions from more people here. Okay. Wow, this may be more than an hour. Okay. Joshua Howell asked me, what's the theme for the Dark Magician? It sounds mysterious, but sexy at the same time. It's actually Dark Magician's Yu-Gi-Oh! Theme in Japanese, the Japanese version of Dark Magician's theme in Yu-Gi-Oh! Go look that up and search it. When I first heard it, I was like, man, like, it's different. It's a different kind of song for a different kind of character for ACW. I'll roll with it. So that's kind of what I thought about it. Sharuba asked me your thoughts on WWE confiscating King of Wrestling signs for Cesaro at Night of Champions. It's ridiculous. I mean, heaven forbid the audience wants to cheer Cesaro, who should be a babyface, who should have already been pushed into a more higher level than he is right now as a babyface. Putting him as a heel and making him lose almost all the time at this point now is going against the grain. The crowd wants to cheer for Cesaro. The crowd wants Cesaro to be pushed. And honestly, you see, you got all these injuries with, well, let me just say that for the WWE rant. Because I'm going off the line here. Let's see. Joshua Howell asked, what do you think about me bringing in the Nation of Animation to GWA? The team will consist of Huey Freeman, Johnny Bravo, Cyborg from ACW formerly, and Static Shock. Any suggestions on who else I should add? Nice Owen tip of the hat with Johnny Bravo, I guess. Cyborg, Static Shock, Huey, that's fine. I would think Huey would be the manager, because he's the one that would be the most to articulate himself to put the group over. Static Shock would be your D-Lo, I guess, of the group. Saber would be your Kama, godfather of the group. But you need that Rock type of persona, and not just anybody that would just say, "Here's the Rock." Who would I add? Jeez. Maybe the new Captain America who's gonna be black. Maybe. Dang, who else would fit that persona? Gee, this is actually a good question. I can't believe I'm kind of stumbling right now. Huh. I don't know who else. I got stumped. Wow. If I think of any other names for the next newscast, I'll let you know, but yeah, other than that, with the new Captain America who's going to be black, I don't know who else. Jeez, that was... Wow. Okay. Let's see. Brian Douglas asks another question. Ever thought of bringing older cartoon characters into ACW, like from the golden age of animation? Maybe have them take on Gamma. Here's the thing. I'm obviously I don't try to be realistic with ACW, but I try to keep it to somewhat of a realistic point of view. So like, even when I brought in Kinnikuman, I thought I was kind of pushing it a little bit, because Kinnikuman is an old school anime character back in the 80s. He's King Muscle after all. But if you're talking about things like Speed Racer as a full-time competitor, or Astro Boy, or people from the Voltron series, I don't see me doing that. Just because, if anything, they would be brought into ACW for the Hall of Fame. That's probably as best you're going to get. I think I've got the perfect amount of people to fight Gamma at this point. Let's see, Joey Shiriba asked, you know what, this is my last question. I'm heated about it. I was watching a live stream of Raw on September 22nd, 2014, and one of the guys on there said to look up to this rap group called MOP, and to also look up their song Anti Up, and I did, and once I hear it, I was heated, because it was like it made me hate this guy more after I heard the song. And I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on John Cena's team? And it sounded like MOP's Anti Up. I've never heard of that song, really, to be honest with you. I will check it out now after this newscast and see if you are right, but there's a lot to hate about John Cena's character, with the rare exceptions, except like his charity work and him reportedly being a nice guy. Don't give too much flack to John Cena. He ultimately, don't give too much flack to John Cena. He's just kind of doing what the company tells him, although he does have creative control. But, again, it's not that big of a deal to really criticize him for. There's a lot more to criticize him for than just that notion alone. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not a big deal to me, I guess, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find any more newscast questions here. Jeez, this is what I get for not doing newscasts for like 2 weeks. I gotta start digging for like questions that I have not seen in 2 weeks. Excuse me for the dead air here. I'm just scrolling down here looking for other questions here. If I can try to find it. I believe that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay, well, thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for your questions and comments. I do appreciate them, as always. Do appreciate it very much. Yeah. Sorry, I just had like a brain fart for some reason, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for your questions and comments. As always, if you want to send your questions or comments towards me, send them down below this video here on YouTube or whatever video streaming site you're watching this from. Or you can go on the Facebook page of Anime Championship Wrestling if you haven't liked it and shared it already, and post your question and comment there, and I will read them for the next newscast, hopefully next week. But yeah, alright, so let's get to some topics here for this week. Let's just go over quickly the ACW news. As you guys know, last week was ACW No Boundaries. I gotta tell you, I had a lot of fun commentating, editing, and recording those matches, just because of the anticipation and intensity that mega event was going to bring. I knew what it was going to bring. I knew the reaction it was going to create, so I was very excited for that mega event. Goku and Gohan was that's probably a match of the year contender. From what I'm hearing from you guys, Goku and Gohan was match of the year contender. Although, oddly enough, Ryu and Broly was the second match that I heard a lot of great praise for as well. So, but I had no doubts about that, because, you know, I was trying to tell a story with Ryu and Broly. Ryu coming back too early despite being injured, and Broly was just too much for an injured Ryu to overcome, so I was not surprised. Goku turning Super Saiyan at the end made people go, holy crap. That was pretty fun to watch, and the reactions that accompanied with it. Overall, I thought it was a great mega event, and now it's the final brand exclusive mega event of 2014. Now, from this point forward, now we have the Royal Rumble in October, Anime Revolution in November, and Animania 3 in December. So those 3 mega events will all be combined with Excel and Impulse matches. So Excel and Impulse will be on all 3 of those mega events, obviously. So it's going to be really fun, and the heat's only going to be turned up to very high. So yes, get hype is all that you need to know. Also, if you haven't watched it already, go and watch the Super Smash Bros. Exhibition match for the 3DS that saw Solid Snake go one-on-one against Donkey Kong, and with a surprise ending, obviously, from Team Star Fox. Fox McCloud and Falco Lombardi showed up and just beat the holy hell out of Donkey Kong after Donkey Kong won against Solid Snake. That, I still don't even know what to think of that. I don't know where that's going. I don't know why Fox and Falco decided to even show up at that match. I don't know, folks. I really don't know. I don't know where it's leading, but I don't know if it's anywhere good. So, but make sure you guys watch that. I know a lot of you guys are enjoying your Super Smash Bros. Game for the 3DS. Let me know what you guys think. I'm personally trying to get Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Finally give me an excuse to maybe buy the Wii U with the game. So let me know, who are your favorite characters there. What features you like, what are the best parts of the game, what are the worst parts of the game. Just let me know your overall thoughts on the game so far as you're playing it, so I can get a good idea as to where I might be when I get it as well. So, we're going to also talking about Gamergate. A lot of developments have went down with Gamergate. A lot of things have went down for these past 2 weeks. One of the biggest news that has come out this week, actually, was that Intel decided to pull its ads from the gaming website Gamasutra. Now, Gamasutra was one of the gaming websites that published the article, one of the 10 articles that proclaimed that gamers are dead. And a lot of the Gamergate supporters emailed repeatedly, almost every single day, every single hour, to Intel that Intel, you support gamers that buy your product, which means that they're consumers. These social justice warriors aren't going to be buying your product. They're just there to bitch about something because they have nothing else to do. And apparently Intel listened. Now, Intel is now siding with Gamergate. And that was the right call. At the end of the day, Intel is a big corporate company. It can't risk making a choice between one side or the other. It's got to make a neutral stance, and that was the best stance it could have made. So, it's not supporting Gamergate, but it will not condone the controversy that some of the Gamergate opponents have created to label the Gamergate supporters as misogynist, sexist, racist, harassers, what have you. So that was one of the big victories for Gamergate this week. A lot of it. Also, GitHub, a place where you're able to post certain texts about certain messages and what have you, shut down the Gamergate account there. Apparently, they thought that the Gamergate text was assigned to network harassment, which it wasn't. It was just a way to tell people to email and boycott these certain websites and its sponsors. That's really all it was. And with some people that were going to spread lies about Gamergate, to fact check them. That's all it was. But apparently, one of the people that do work at GitHub is connected to Leigh Alexander, the author that wrote one of the Gamers Are Dead articles, which was on Gamma Sutra. Do you see where this is coming from? Do you see how this is all making sense now? Now, I'm not the most eloquent or most proficient person to kind of address these things towards you. You're going to have to do your own research. So I implore you to go on YouTube and search up videos from Internet Aristocrat or Sargon of Akkad or Monday Matt. Those type of guys. Check those videos out. Go ahead and check out Milo Yiannopoulos' articles about Gamergate on Breitbart.com. And granted, I really don't even like Breitbart.com. I am a leftist. I mean, I'm a liberal, but I'm not an extreme liberal. An extreme liberal is all these social justice warriors that are trying to take away these video games and force their own agenda down your throat. I'm not that part of the left. That's an authoritarian version of the left. I'm more of the libertarian version of the left. But anyways, check out those articles out there and try to understand why this is important. I understand people kind of don't care or just want to say, well, can't we just play video games? What is a big deal about this? See, those are the type of people that accept the status quo. Those are the type of people that allow for wrongdoing and no accountability to go on and on and on until it becomes a problem to them when it will be too late. Stop the problem now. Stop it right here, right now. Because for Gamergate, if they don't get this right, if we don't get this right, we'll never have another chance at it again. Because if we fail here for Gamergate, they will have the manufacture, they will have the structure of this failure, so it'll thwart off any other future attempts. This is very important. This is very crucial. I don't want to play a game where some things on the game will alter because it's sexist or it's racist or they're forcing this black character or this gay character or this transphobia character or this Hispanic character or white character. I don't want them to be forced. I don't mind diversity in video games. I don't think anyone minds that. But as long as it's a gradual and reasonable approach to it, I think we can all agree with that. Not an authoritarian, forced agenda where it's like you have to play this game, you have to accept this game, or else you're this, and you're this. No, screw that. I do not want to be a part of that world. Can you imagine if people created this world, if people like that, social justice warriors and modern third-wave feminists, all just came in and tried to create this world where you can't even make a joke, or else you're this. They'll try to police you into make certain jokes and certain statements and make certain games. Where is the consistency here? Where is the accountability here for these people? You know, like I said, I'm from the left, but when I see hypocrisy from the left as much as I would do from the right, I call it out. Hypocrisy is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is not aligned to any political movement. But at the end of the day, Gamergate should not be a political movement. Gamergate, at the end of the day, and I don't care what anyone says, if anyone tells you otherwise, they're either naive, they're either in denial, or they're either lying, or they're just that stupid. At the end of the day, Gamergate is about calling for ethics in journalism in video games. Calling for accountability, ethics, and transparency in the video game journalism world. And also, at the end of the day, it is also to push back this notion, this agenda, that we have to accept a certain thing just because of your opinion, just because you want to force it down on everyone else's throat, and no one else is allowed to speak for it. That's what Gamergate is to me. I am a gamer. Alright, my first game that I ever played that I can remember was Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. Arguably the greatest Mario game of all time. And I played that game. And I played other games like Dr. Mario. And I played games like Zelda. And I played other games like Madden 64 when I was getting to the N64. You know, I was playing Contra. And then I was playing Sonic and the Genesis. You know, I'm a video gamer. I had a Game Boy, and then the Game Boy Color. I bought almost every Nintendo system with the exception of the Wii U. That's the only one I haven't got yet. Otherwise, I played every other Nintendo system going back to the NES days. So I will be damned if I'm going to let these people try to tell me that I'm a piece of crap because I don't abide to their rules, to their standards, to their level of agenda-driven standards. Sorry, that's not going to happen with me. So I implore you, if you're a real gamer, and I'm going to keep hammering this home until some of you get that idea. If you're a true gamer, if you're a lifelong gamer, if you're a long-time gamer, if you're someone that truly has a desire and passion and love for video games, this issue is important. This issue is something you cannot ignore. This is an issue you cannot compromise with on the other side. This is an issue that every one of you should be worried about and trying to find a solution for. Because if we lose here, if we allow them to take away video games from us, like they've done with comic books, like they've done with movies, like they've done with music, like they're going to start doing with anime too. Don't think you're safe there. Even if it is from Japan. Talking about the western part of that equation. We can't allow them to do them here. We can't allow them to take video games here as well. No, I'm going to stand on the right side of history. I'm going to stand with the gamers. I'm going to stand with people that love video games. I'm going to stand with people that just want to play video games and not have to worry about people forcing their ideals and agenda down our throats. The reason why we play video games is because we try to have an escape from reality, because reality is so messed up. So the society we live in today is so bad and just so awful. Some of the worst things and people to ever come out of this society of humanity. We want to escape that, maybe for an hour or two, by playing video games. But then you're going to try to force all society's ills into that as well. No, screw that. I'm going to stand with gamers. I'm going to stand with people that do support Gamergate. Because it isn't about misogyny. It isn't about sexism or racism or whatever the hell buzzword they want to use that they really don't understand the word of. They just want to use it to make you look bad. We allow all people of race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, political beliefs, what have you, age, social economical status, doesn't matter. We all come together for one reason, because we love video games. And that's what should be very important with this movement. Don't allow people to tell you that this issue doesn't matter. Don't allow people to tell you that you should just play video games. Don't allow people to tell you and lie to you that it's anything but journalistic integrity. Fight! I mean, to quote Aaron Yeager, fight! Fight! That's what you should do. So those are the updates so far with Gamergate, and like I said, as long as this continues with Gamergate, I mean, it reached 1 million tweets last week, so there's no way this is going to slow down anytime soon. As long as it can go, I'm going to be giving you updates on Gamergate. If you want to skip it, if you really do want to skip it, then skip it. I'm not going to stop talking about it, because this is very important to me. I know it's very important to a lot of people that do listen to this newscast. So, I will be giving you updates and more talk about Gamergate on future newscasts. Well, that leads us to one thing, I guess, now, and I guess it's time that we talk about a certain promotion that has lately caught me to the point where I need to just talk about it. Dear WWE, your product is bad right now. Now, before anyone even jumps at me and says that I'm a anti-WWE guy, or I'm a TNA tard, or I'm just a WWE hater, or whatever the hell kind of word you want to use to kind of discredit me, which really won't, I've been watching the WWFE since as young as it was 1992. So I was at the tail end of the Hogan era. So I really grew up with the WWFE with the New Generation and Attitude Era. So I've been a lifelong fan. Now, I'm not a company fan. I'm a wrestling fan. There's a difference, because a lot of people tend to get it mixed up here. I have no allegiance towards any kind of company or brand. If the wrestling is good to extraordinary, I will praise it. If it's to bad to god awful, I'm going to criticize it. That goes for WWE, TNA, ROH, PWG, any other independent scene out there, even from Canada, UK, Japan, Mexico, wherever. I'm a wrestling fan first and foremost. That will never change. But you know something? I'm looking at the WWE today. Now, I have not watched. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the whole show, but I did watch some portions of WWE Raw this past week. But before that, I haven't watched Raw in about a month. It's been about a month since I've watched WWE before that. Just because it was just awful. It was just getting awful. I mean, let's talk about certain things first and foremost. The novelty of Brock Lesnar as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion has worn off now, in my opinion. People thought that the reports that Brock Lesnar was going to be more available for dates. Well, now from another report, now this is coming from last night, apparently Brock Lesnar is done for the entire year. So we don't have a WWE World Heavyweight Champion on television for the rest of 2014. I understand that the WWE had to do this, but to their own fault. Let's not get it twisted. It's their fault that they created this mess, that they created this cornered option for themselves. Because it's been a decade that they haven't built anybody up after the Fortune 4. Now, if you know who the Fortune 4 are, post-Attitude Era, it's the following 4. John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, and Edge. Those were the 4 that you built up after the Attitude Era. Well, look at it now. Whoa. Now look at it now. Batista is gone again, and he might be actually done for good this time, seeing as his movie career is going to take off. Edge had to retire because of a neck injury that would have made him paralyzed for the rest of his life. Randy Orton tends to switch back and forth as a heel and a face to the point where people just don't really care about Orton anymore. And the fact of the matter is, Orton is not a household name either. He's just a superstar in the WWE terms of today. John Cena, out of those 4, is the only person that would be considered a superstar. But even then, you can debate those claims. But look at the company right now. Just look at the company right now. You got John Cena doing the same old stuff. No progression. No acceleration of his character or his story. Roman Reigns, the supposed next big guy, the supposed next top star after Cena. The guy that you're building up for WrestleMania 31 to not only be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but to also be the next megastar for your company, quote unquote, is now injured and may not be coming back for another 3 to 6 months. Daniel Bryan is still out, and he might not be coming back until the earliest the Royal Rumble next year. CM Punk is gone. Yes, I understand there's different possibilities and there's different scenarios and circumstances with that, but CM Punk, a prominent figure in the WWE for almost a decade, is now also gone. And now there are reports that you're going to turn Orton face for what? Orton is not a good face. Anyone should know that by now. Orton is not a good babyface. He doesn't make for a babyface. He's a natural heel. There are certain people in wrestling that you never turn face, and there are certain people that you never turn heel. Randy Orton falls into the former. He's one of those people that you never turn face. But at this point, who the hell else is on the face side other than John Cena and Dean Ambrose? Who else? I mean, you've made Sheamus your United States champion look boring as all hell, who tends to be another person that's always protected in victories and matches. You got Dolph Ziggler, who's trading Intercontinental title wins with The Miz. So, The Miz wins the Intercontinental title, and now they're champions, but the next night on Raw, Dolph Ziggler is able to win it back. Can someone tell me how that makes any sense whatsoever? You know, the Intercontinental title has seen its better days. Back in the days, the Intercontinental title was not just a mid-card title. It was not just a title that was seen as just a prop like it is today. The Intercontinental title was the next ladder step for you to be the world champion. The Intercontinental title was the second most important title in that company. And whoever held the Intercontinental title was essentially the second most important person in that company next to the world champion, the WWF/E champion. But now, can anybody out there tell me, if we're going to apply that from back then to now, anyone going to tell me that Dolph Ziggler is the second most important person next to Brock Lesnar? Get the hell out of here. And oh my god, I'm going to lose it. And look at this. You take Cesaro and break him away from the Real Americans, which is the right call. You make him win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial match at WrestleMania 30 this year, to which he got a tremendous pop. And he got the same pop like he did at WrestleMania 30 the next night on Raw. So all indicators would suggest that he would be the babyface. He would be the next top babyface, or at least one of the top babyfaces of this year. 2014 was supposed to be Cesaro's year. But instead, you, for no reason, out of randomness, align him with Paul Heyman, who was a heel. And you then keep Cesaro heel. And you don't follow it up even. To the point where Cesaro breaks away from Paul Heyman, but it wasn't a grand breakup. It was just I'm not a Paul Heyman guy anymore. I'm just going to be on my own. What? And now look at Cesaro. He barely has the momentum he had at WrestleMania 30 this year is now non-existent today. Now Cesaro looks like a chump. Now Cesaro looks like every other guy. Cesaro looks like just like a run-of-the-mill person that just happens to wrestle for Intercontinental and United States title runs that he knows he's not going to get, and if he does, the WWE won't book properly. Oh, but speaking of people who are just being turned into the same and having their momentum stalled, look at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was arguably the second hottest guy, the second hottest talent in the WWE next to Daniel Bryan earlier this year, and heading into WrestleMania. So you have Bray Wyatt, who needed a WrestleMania win more than John Cena did. That Bray Wyatt needed that win because it would have made storyline sense, and it would have had John Cena, oh my god, it would have had John Cena try to fight the monster so he would actually look like a babyface. That way it would make him more sympathetic and make Bray Wyatt look more like the monster. So you didn't do that because you guys are stupid. So otherwise, John Cena wins the important match in the feud at WrestleMania. And then the following pay-per-view at Extreme Rules, the only way Bray Wyatt wins is because some kid was singing demonically, he's got the whole world in his hands. And even then, John Cena was able to defeat Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan in a cage match, and he was almost going to win if it had not been for that kid. And then the next pay-per-view, John Cena beats Bray Wyatt in the most anticlimactic, goofy-ass fashion you could possibly do with Bray Wyatt, and ends that feud. And Bray Wyatt has not recovered since. You know, for some of you idiots out there that always want to say, well, wait till the storyline plays out. Wait until they do something with him. You should know better. You should know better at this point. We said the same thing in 2010 with the Nexus. We said the same thing in 2011 with the Summer of Punk. We said the same thing in 2012 with CM Punk's heel turn. We said the same thing in 2013 with John Cena's Road to Redemption. And now we're in 2014. And you guys are telling me now that Bray Wyatt is going to be a big star, that Bray Wyatt losing was good for Bray Wyatt, even though that makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Because he needed to win more than John Cena. A loss to John Cena, for John Cena at this point, would not do a damn thing to John Cena. Bray Wyatt needed that win, and he didn't get it. Because it's the WWE. And it feels like the only people that the WWE care about at this point is John Cena, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Brock Lesnar. That's what it seems like to me. Oh, and Roman Reigns, too. Those are the only 5 people that the WWE seems to care about. Screw everybody else. Screw everybody else that doesn't fit into that mold. You guys can get filler positions and inconsistent storylines and what have you. And also, I need to address this as well. Now Jericho is gone. Now RVD is gone. You know, the same people bitched last year about The Rock coming back just to win the WWE title and then to drop the scene and leave. People say, well, why does The Rock have to get a title shot just because he just came back? But we don't apply the same accountability for a Jericho or a RVD, especially Jericho, who got a title shot in 2012 out of nowhere for CM Punk's title. Did we forget that? At the end of the day, this is pro wrestling. It's a business. And let's say it here, the number one goal, the number one thing in a business is to make money. Period. End of the story. People are always bitching about, well, why does The Rock have to be in WrestleMania, but a Dolph Ziggler or a Zack Ryder or a Fandango or a Big E can't be in one? Well, it's the simple fact that The Rock is box office potential. The Rock is box office, period. Which ironically is going to add more money for those guys bitching about not having a spot higher than The Rock. Let me tell you something. The Rock and John Cena, their match last year, I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was pretty boring and subpar. But put it in this perspective. Were you going to have The Rock and John Cena main event, or were you going to have John Cena and Dolph Ziggler main event? John Cena and Cesaro. John Cena and Big E Langston. No! If you guys were in the position Vince was in at that time, you would have done the exact same thing. And don't lie. Don't lie about it. You are out there to make the most money. You are out there to put the best show that will garner the most money and the most buy rates. That's what he did. Now we can complain and bitch about the product all we want, but in a financial sense, it made sense. But what I'm seeing right now with the WWE doesn't make sense. And I'm sorry. Were we not supposed to get a new Nation of Domination, quote unquote, with Xavier Woods, Big E Langston, and Kofi Kingston? Where the hell have they been? And apparently from reports now, they're not even called even the New Nation. They're called Speed Force. Speed Force, and they're gonna be baby faces. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. You know what? I can even kind of say this at this point, that most of the colleagues out here that write stories for their colleagues and book matches, they would do a better job right now at this point than Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn right now at the position. I think Vince McMahon has lost his touch. I think he's way past his prime. I think he just doesn't care. He just wants to do enough just so they can make enough money to supply dividends for the stockholders, pretty much. Kevin Dunn's a moron. He's the executive producer, yet the production of the whole show and the whole company is just crap. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason for it. Kevin Dunn should have been let go a long time ago, but apparently has some sort of power or grip with the WWE that he's just still there. You know, people are always saying, well, wait till, Triple H comes in and NXT will be the future. Is it going to be really? Let's think about it for a second. I love Kenta and Prince Devitt and Kevin Steen, but in the current position we have right now with the WWE, if they're going to be just like everybody else that we thought were going to be, something like a Cesaro or a Dolph Ziggler or Big E Langston, then what's the point? You know, people were always like, oh, Paige, you know, when Paige comes in, she's going to really change the Divas division. Where is it? Where is the change? It's only gotten worse, in my opinion, because now the Bellas are competing for the Divas title. If anything, Paige was the one that got changed, not the Divas division. You know, Paige was supposed to be this anti-diva, yet does the most diva stuff on the show almost every week now. And now she's just being a doppelganger for AJ Lee. What the hell is this? What sense does this make? There is no way anyone can tell me right now that this company is good, even. At best, it's decent. But right now, in my opinion, it's trash. It's bad. And now, the ratings for Monday Night Raw now are reaching to 2.6s and 2.5s. We were complaining and worried about, you know, 5 to 6 years ago, the WWE reaching 3.5 and 3.3. Now we're in 2.6. 2.6! That's pretty much near SmackDown territory. And nobody watches SmackDown. It's pretty much a recap of Raw. You get the rematches from Raw, and you get a recap from Raw. No one watches SmackDown. So what I have to say and what I have to question is, why would I even still be subscribed to the WWE Network at this point? If I'm not getting quality product, if I'm not getting a quality product from the current WWE. And people are going to say, well, you guys still have the old school shows of ECW, WCW, WCCW, you know, the Mid-Atlantic shows, other, you know, territories, Memphis, you know, Puerto Rico, all that. Okay, you can watch those shows and matches online. You can get a torrent out of them. You can download them from any forum. There are other accessible ways to watch those shows and matches at this point. I don't necessarily need the WWE for that. What else? The original content of it? What? Countdown, which is a biased show, or Legends of WrestleMania, which is fine for what it is. I can pick up the WWE DVDs. I don't have to really watch the documentary on the network. What redeeming quality is there for the WWE Network at this point? I don't even give a damn if it's $9.99 at this point. Hell, I don't even care if it's 99 cents at this point. It feels like the WWE's priorities are just out of whack. It's all on the WWE Network. It's all on these outside projects that they know won't really help them in the long-term scheme of things. There's just a lot of, there's no energy right now with this product. And the same goes with TNA as well. I mean, they were doing such a great job, you know, about a couple of weeks ago, but now, just watching this week's episode of Impact, this feels like there's no energy again. They're just coasting along until they can get a TV deal, which still hasn't been announced, by the way. They're just coasting along until they get a definite answer for next year, if they're even going to be around next year. But man, the number one leader in pro wrestling is the WWE, without a question. And this is the type of product we're getting right now. The only redeeming quality right now with the WWE right now is the feud between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Now, we're going to be heading into Hell in a Cell in a couple weeks. And in my opinion, there is no other option. There is no other decision than this. The main event for Hell in a Cell should be and needs to be Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose inside Hell in a Cell. Will it get bloody? Will it get crazy? Obviously not. It's a PG kind of era now. It is what it is. But for what this feud has been about for all these weeks and months, and for the two people that can truly provide what needs to be done in the Hell in a Cell match, those are the two. Do not add John Cena in that match and make it a triple threat. Do not do some sort of dumb dick decision where it's like, if Randy Orton, whoever faces, the winner between Dean Ambrose and John Cena faces Seth Rollins in the main event in the side of Hell in a Cell, and the loser faces Randy Orton or some crap like that. Like the Schleg Daddy was talking about this week on his Raw review. Don't do no stupid stuff like that. Just make it be Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell to cap off and close that feud. Let John Cena do something else. Yes, if it has to be another damn match between him and Randy Orton, fine, I will have to take the lesser of two evils with that. But the main event at Hell in a Cell needs to be Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And if they don't do that main event, it's unacceptable. If they don't do that, it just shows how shitty and how crappy this company has truly become. There is no way you can tell me this company, this product right now is at the greatest of shapes. It's not. I'm sorry, it isn't. You know, people are going to say, well, they give you great matches every week. Yeah, great matches that have no consequences. Great matches that have no story behind them. Great matches that we've seen countless times again and again and over. At some point, you say to yourself, this shit gets old, folks. This shit gets old. Give me something new. My goodness. This company sucks right now. Accept it. Ugh. And yeah, call me an IWC mark all you want. Call me, you know, smart, whatever the hell kind of stupid term you want to call me to kind of distance away from my cold rant here. But at the end of the day, I'm a wrestling fan. If I like good wrestling, I'm gonna say it. If I hate bad wrestling, I'm gonna say it. And right now, WWE is not a good wrestling product right now. It's not. Sorry, it isn't. You know, people say NXT is the future. Well, if this is the present right now, I can't imagine the future. Especially if the same old people are still in the same spots and will undercut NXT anyways. It's a scary time right now to be a quote-unquote WWE fan. It's a scary time for the WWE indeed. This shit is awful. I'm finding myself watching Monday Night Football now over Raw these days. It's just awful. And the WWE better do something soon. Because people always say the WWE will never die. Well, let me tell you something. All great empires eventually crumble. All great empires eventually crumble. And WWE is no different, is no exception to that statement. And if the WWE doesn't do anything soon, then it will crumble sooner rather than later. It's only a matter of time. It is what it is. So, there you go. That's my WWE rant that I've been holding off for like 2 weeks now. I just had to get that out of my chest because it's awful. It's just bad. Ugh. I'm going to catch bits and snips of Raw and maybe the Hell in a Cell, but I'm not even watching full shows anymore. Just, why? It's a lot of filler, a lot of stuff I don't care about, a lot of stuff that'll just piss me off, a lot of stuff that I've seen before, a lot of stuff that doesn't mean anything to me. So why watch a full show at this point? And Raw's still a 3-hour show. How can you justify Raw being a 3-hour show at this point? Remember all those people when the 3-hour show for Raw was being announced? They said, oh, this is going to give more development to the mid-carders. People are going to get pushed. It's going to be more storylines, more advancement towards characters. All a bunch of crap. It was just a corporate push for them to get more advertisement and to get more sponsors to make money for them. That's all it was, and you should have known better. And now you do know better. Hopefully you do know better. So yeah. I'll keep, you know, I'm still a wrestling fan in my, at the end of the day, I'm still a wrestling fan in my heart. That will never go away. But man, it's just not an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, in my opinion. It feels like we're in an even bigger downward slump than we've always been. You know, people say that 1993 or 1995 or, you know, 2006/7 was a down kind of period for wrestling in general. I gotta say this right now is kind of competing with those years itself. So there you go. That'll do it for the ACW Newscast this week. Hopefully I can do another newscast next week, and we'll talk about more stuff, and I'll let you know the topics. As always, you can send me your questions and comments down below on this channel or on my Facebook page, the ACW Facebook page. Just send me a question and comment, and I'll be able to answer them or reply to them as soon as I can for the newscast. So until then, I am Hakeem Johnson, as always telling you to stay cool. Stay cool. See you later.